What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am, well, attempting to bring you a deck centered around Yveltal-GX from Forbidden Light. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, it helps us out a ton, and let's do more cool stuff for you guys. And if you are new to the channel, here at TTM we are a collaborative channel, so there is more than just TCG content, which is why you clicked on this video. We also have draft format content from myself and Crobat for the win, as well as Jolt, the two other guys on the channel, and then occasionally we will have a quote-unquote TTM drama video where it's just basically a friend of ours, Maddie Brawlett, coming in, and it's basically a fake news video, which really is kind of funny, all things considered. But yeah, if that interests you, please feel free to subscribe, and also check out our Discord. It will be linked in the description. We have channels for all different facets of Pokemon, Draft League, TCG, and Smogon. And as for the question of the day, now, I'll be completely honest, Yveltal-GX kinda sucks. And also, by the way, I'm going to be saying Yveltal and Yveltal just all through the video. I can't decide which one I would like to pronounce it, so I'm just going with both, whichever I feel in that specific sentence. But Yveltal-GX is pretty bad. I mean, Absorb Vitality 1 for 20, and then you heal the same amount as you did. Sonic Evil 3 for 100, and this attack isn't affected by weakness or resistance. And then Doom Count GX. If your opponent's active Pokemon has exactly 4 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. So it's, I mean, it's very, I don't know, it's weird. Doom Count GX is very, very difficult to hit. I mean, if it was 30 or 50, then you just have to attach a Fighting Fury Belt for 30 or a Choice Band for 50 and go for an Absorb Vitality. So not overall too difficult to do. And then Sonic Evil, 3 colorless energy, so I mean that's at least something that it's got going for it. And then Doom Count, I mean, like I said, just way too specific of a situation that's too difficult to pull off with this card. I mean, it's not very good. So my question of the day is, what would you guys do to Yveltal in order to make it better? I can think of a couple things that I would like to do. First of all, the simplest one is to make Doom Count GX either 3 damage counters or 5 damage counters. One of the two. Don't make it 4. 4 is way too difficult to pull off with this card. If this card was, like, insanely good already, then I can understand why Doom Count would be a little bit more difficult to pull off. But considering this card's 2 other attacks are honestly mediocre at best, they're pretty bad, I think that Doom Count should be easier to pull off to give Yveltal some sort of niche in the meta. Now, Absorb Vitality, I would prefer if it was, I don't know, I would prefer if it was just another iteration of Evil Ball, like the Yveltal-GX. I mean, this card was so good for so long that just because of Evil Ball, the more energy you have, the harder it hits. I think Absorb Vitality, just completely replace it with Evil Ball once again with the exact same cost. I think that would help it immensely to where you wouldn't even have to change the other 2 attacks. Just give that thing Evil Ball and Yveltal-GX would be much better. Or Sonic Evil, make it a Darkness and 2 colorless, but then make it do 100 damage and then 30 to a bench. Make it basically a Night Spear, but a little bit better with just 10 more damage. And I think that could make Yveltal work a little bit better as well. Because, I mean, you're going to have a Darkness on this thing anyway for that 3rd energy. I mean, you're going to have a DCE and a Darkness. That's just how it works. I think you should make the cost more specific, but give it a better effect than just 100 damage and it's not affected by weakness or resistance. I think that's, I don't know, I think that's pretty bad. So yeah, let me know what you would think, what you would do to Yveltal to make it better in the comment section down below. I've been talking for way too long. Let's just go ahead and get into this deck. But anyway, on to the deck, like I said, centered around Yveltal and Zoroark. I mean, to be fair, as soon as I saw Yveltal, I was like, well, I'm going to have to run this in a dark deck. I'm going to be running DCEs. Yep, that means I'm going to be running Zoroark. So it's really just kind of a straightforward, this isn't like a particularly competitive deck, but it's actually kind of fun to use if you happen to have Zoroarks lying around and pull a couple Yveltal, because you have the duo of Yveltal-EX and Yveltal-GX. I mean, both of these, well, Yveltal-EX, I mean, everybody knows what it does with Evil Ball and Y Cyclone, just move around energy and then hit harder with more energy, and then Yveltal-GX just really is just kind of inferior Yveltal-EX, but I mean, hey, this is the card that I'm trying to center the deck around, so we are going with that. And then, of course, Zoroark is one of the most meta cards. If you're running DC in a deck, throw Zoroark in there, it'll make it just that much better because, I mean, Righteous Beating, consistent 120 for a DCE, and then trade once during your turn. You may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. So basically, it's just I mean, it's just such a meta card and works in any deck that runs a DCE, and then this dark deck with DCEs is absolutely no exception. So going through the mons, 2/2 of Yveltal-EX and Yveltal-GX, just because those are the two cards that I'm really trying to center this deck around. I'm really trying to give Yveltal a kind of deck of its own, per se, just give an Yveltal deck showcase. That's what I was trying to say. And then we have 4/4 of Zorua and Zoroark, but then a 3/1 breakdown of the GX and 1 regular Zoroark to try to work around things like Hoopa and Alolan Ninetales. Just have a non-EX or GX attacker to work around those. Yes, it's not the most reliable as like a solo Hoopa would actually just straight up beat me, but again, this deck isn't like super competitive, so it's just kind of a fun deck to use, that type of thing. And then we have 1 Mew for running up against like Buzzwole decks or other decks that are weak to Psychic and strong against dark types, just a way to work around that and not just take an auto loss against them. Yes, we do have resistances in both of our Yveltals, but let's be real, that -20 resistance is completely mitigated by the fact that strong energy I mean, you attach a strong energy, well, resistance is already gone. So that's why adding a Mew, just to be able to take those on a little bit better. And then 3 Tapu Lele, because Lele into Brigette is what we need to really get this deck going. And at its true, like, heart, the deck is a Zoroark deck that has Yveltal teched in, so we want to get as many Zoroark going as quickly and consistently as possible. So that's why we're going with the 3/2 of Lele and Brigette. 1 Evosoda as a way of searching out our deck for a Zoroark, just getting Zorua evolved quickly and consistently without having to necessarily Ultra Ball for that particularly. 2 Field Blower, because Choice Band and Garbodor is annoying. 4 Max Elixir, because this deck needs to speed up. The only way that Yveltal is going to be particularly good is if you're hitting for 100 damage very, very quickly with Sonic Evil. I mean, that's kind of sort of the only way it's going to be very good. So being able to power that thing up quickly is essential, and also it works for Zoruas and Yveltals. Just get a bunch of energy on the board and try to hit hard very quickly. 1 Rescue Stretcher as our method of recursion. 4 Ultra Ball to guarantee get the mods we want when we want it. 1 Devoured Field, just because in certain situations you need just a little extra 10 damage on just certain KOs, and then Devoured Field allows us to be able to do this. Granted, you probably could just run Reverse Valley, but I don't know. I just decided on Devoured Field because I was like, you know what? Why the heck not? Let's just do this. Yes, it does help out like Garchomp decks and all things considered. It's probably better to run Reverse Valley because with just a, I think it's Royal Blades or whatever it is able to one-shot Zoroark if I have a Devoured Field in place. So hindsight 2020, probably not the best, but meh, I'm rolling with it. Let's just go with it at this point. And then as for these supporters, you got 2 Brigette, because like I said, Lele into Brigette is what you want to start with in this deck. 3/3/2 of Cynthia and Sycamore. As you can see, it's very reminiscent of my 4/3/3, except that I have 2 Mallow in here as well. The 2 Mallow replaced 1 Sycamore and 1 Cynthia because the combination of Zoroark into Mallow is so strong, just getting you any 2 cards in the deck that you want. And then 3 Guzma, I mean, this is my standard line, like 4 Cynthia, 3 Guzma, 3 N, and 3 Sycamore, but because we were running Mallow in this deck, we replaced a Cynthia and a Sycamore with 2 of those. 3 Choice Bands to boost our damage output, and then as for the energy, you have 4 DCEs, because everything in this deck runs on DCEs, and then 9 Darkness Energy for the cost of things like, well, not so much Trickster GX, but Absorb Vitality, Doom Count, if we're ever able to pull that off. Honestly, if we're able to do that in this game, I'll be very impressed. And then, of course, Evil Ball and Y Cyclone. So, yeah, that is the deck. It's okay, but let's go ahead and see the deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against a JJ Rex with what looks like we are going up against an Ultra Necrozma Malamar deck, which, quite frankly, is going to be pretty interesting to say the least. I have no idea how this is going to go for us, just because I haven't tested this deck out long enough to be able to figure out what is a good matchup and what is a... Well, okay, I guess I can inherently tell what is a good matchup and bad matchup by weakness, but considering we don't necessarily resist anything at the same time, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. So what I'm going to do this turn is go ahead and Ultra Ball, grab a Zorua, make sure that Lele is in the deck just for later, just look at what I have, Choice Band up the Yveltal, and then I got rid of the Zoroark because I'm just going to go ahead and use my Rescue Stretcher to throw the Zoroark back into the deck, because I am going to Sycamore away my hand in and just be a useless Rescue Stretcher anyway if I didn't use it, so at least this way I got to recur a Pokemon and then attach an energy to my active Yveltal-EX, play an Yveltal-GX down onto the bench, and there we go. So, yep, Absorb Vitality does 20, and then 100, and then I have to get exactly 4 damage counters on my opponent before they're able to... Before anything's able to... well, before I'm able to take the one-hit knockout. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought right there. But, yeah, I mean, my opponent is just going to go ahead and bridge it. That is a completely fine play. I mean, that's a smart play. I should be able to take a knockout on something this coming turn and get a Zoroark up. What I can do... So if I had actually attached to my Zorua, I would have been able to Guzma up an Inkay. But I think what I'm going to do is just take out this Mew this coming turn. Just take a prize, force my opponent to respond with an Yveltal, or not the Yveltal, with a Ultra Necrozma. And I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. My opponent actually promotes the the Dawn Wings, which honestly, that was probably the worst play he could have gone for, because Dawn Wings now is just going to get knocked out by an Evil Ball straight up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab a Zoroark, as that'll allow me to get obviously a Zoroark up and then start trading. And then I can Mallow or I can Guzma. I don't want to Guzma because, I mean, I'm already going to be able to take 2 prizes this turn. So what I'm going to do is get rid of, or grab a Zorua and then just a Sycamore for next turn, because, I mean, I can... Yeah, I mean, it gets me a supporter for next turn, and it gets me a Zorua. I've already gotten everything else that I want out of this turn. So, yeah, I mean, I'm able to get a second Zorua up, as I think a Mind Jack Zoroark will be my way of being able to one-shot an Ultra Necrozma. And my opponent actually just let me take 2 prizes that turn, which I highly, highly disagree with. I get a Cynthia and an Evosoda off of the prizes, which is great, as it's going to mean that I'm going to be able to get another Zoroark up. Promotes the Mew with... Okay, if he gets 2 Malamar, if my opponent gets 2 Malamar, he will be able to knock me out this coming turn. So... Yeah, if he gets... Okay, so he needs a Metal Energy as well. Otherwise, I'll just take a knockout on something, and then my Yveltal will have taken 3 prizes, whereas it's only a 2-prize attacker. I have to power up something in the background. Because the big problem with this deck is that it's not able to take big one-hit knockouts. I mean, to be fair, the deck that I'm using is not the most competitive by any means. It's just kind of a fun deck that I wanted to throw together to see if I could try to use Yveltal-GX, see if I could get that to do something. And my opponent does just go into Mew and retreats. So I'm going to Evosoda, get a second Zoroark. Do I want to do that? Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's Evosoda, get the second Zoroark. I mean, I was going to 100% get another Zoroark. It was just a matter of, did I want a Mind Jack, or did I want a trade? So I decided to go with another trade just for the draw support, get that set up, and then I think I'm going to go ahead and Mallow this turn so I can get potentially another Zorua and an energy. So let's get a Zorua for sure. And then what else do I want to grab? I think I want to grab a DCE, because what I can do this coming turn is attach to Yveltal, attach a DCE to Yveltal. Well, first and foremost, get down another Zorua. But then I can attach to Yveltal as Y-Cyclone will be doing 120 damage. And then I can just move the DCE onto a Zoroark, just do a little bit more damage. And then, I mean, I still have that Sycamore that I grabbed with a Mallow last turn. So yeah, let's just go ahead and Y-Cyclone, move the DCE onto a Zoroark, and yeah, now I have another Zorua. So basically, I was just trying to consistently get the Zoruas streamed. And I mean, that's the ultimate goal, just trying to get them constantly going, because if I can get a Mind Jack Zoroark going, I think I will actually be in a spot where I can potentially win this game. Because if not, I think Ultra Necrozma will be able to just run through me, as it's very strong, it's very potent, and my opponent actually must not have anything at all. That sucks a lot. So what I'm going to do, not going to play the Devoured Field, as that actually helps him more than it helps me. And, ooh, I get 2 Max Elixirs, so can I hit these? I hit 1. Let's go ahead and put 1 on... I want to put this on Zorua. I don't know. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it on the Zorua. That way I can use Zoroark-GX attack if I need to. Yeah, Trickster GX. Actually, no, that won't allow me to do much anyway. But, actually, and I even have the Mind Jack Zoroark, which I think I'm going to want to put on there. So, I mean, either way, I get a Zorua powered up, and that's what matters. Let's go ahead and trade, get rid of a Darkness Energy, see if I can draw into anything else. I get a Lele. Lele is... You know what? I'm going to keep the Lele just because I might... Yeah, just because I might need to Guzma later in the game, or Lele into Guzma. Or I could just draw into a Guzma. That works too. Get a Field Blower, which is going to get rid of both of my opponent's Float Stones. That is definitely what I want to do in this situation. It's just a matter of, I'm going to go ahead and evolve into a Mind Jack Zoroark, play the DCE onto the Yveltal, is that's the only way that I'm going to be able to one-shot this Malamar, and also, I mean, I'm still conserving energy by just Y-Cycloning. So, I mean, I have an Yveltal-EX that's taken 3 prizes, and also gotten heavy damage off on a Lele. I have 2 Zoroark GXs powered up. I have a Mind Jack Zoroark powered up, so my opponent can't even get his bench filled. Like, he can't fill his bench without me being able to one-shot a Necrozma, and I would, with Guzma, be able to pull up the Lele, finish that thing off, and then take at least one more prize somewhere along the line just on something of my opponent's. I would have been able to finish off my opponent one way or another. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunate that my opponent was not able to draw anything, but I think at that point I was in a good enough position that even if he did, I might have still had a chance. I mean, that being said, Ultra Necrozma Malamar is still a very powerful deck, arguably top tier. And so, I mean, he could have definitely had the comeback potential to take me out. But either way, we take a win, and let's go ahead and try to find another one. Alrighty, we found another one against the Stovetop 3 with a Fighting and Psychic deck. So, yeah, we are automatically in a pretty bad spot, in my opinion, because this looks to be some sort of Buzzwole deck, which, I mean, even though we do technically have resistances and Yveltal, the fact that our deck is very Zoroark-centric is not going to be... Yeah, it's not going to be good. It's going to be very bad, in my opinion. We even don't start with a... We don't even start with a basic, so my opponent is going to get a couple... is going to get a mulligan card or 2. Let's hope that it's only 1, because that would be very bad. What do I start with? Oh, I saw the Lele and got scared. Wait, I mulliganed 3 times? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. That's not good. That is very not good. But, I mean, at least I don't start with the Lele, or I don't have to start with the Lele, so I'm going to be able to Lele into a Brigette to grab, like, 2 Zorua and an Yveltal-GX, as I think... I mean, I need the Zoroarks because they are the engine of this deck, and, man, 3 cards, that's nuts. Luckily, he does have to play down the Ultra Necrozma. So, or the Dawn Wings, which is weak 2, okay, so I do have plenty of those guys to go through. Let's just go ahead and bridge it. Yeah, I'm giving my opponent the hand, but I really need to get set up if I'm going to have a chance. And in this case, I'm just going to get 3 Zorua. I can always Ultra Ball. I can always just grab an Yveltal-GX later. I mean, it's more important to get the Zorua down so that I can evolve them ASAP, as they're what's important. And we see the... Wait. Is this like a Necrozma? Ooh. This might be a Necrozma Malamar. I mean, it definitely looks like Malamar, because you have the Malamar, you have the Dawn Wings. Oh! I know what this is. This is a Necrozma Malamar, but it's running Marshadow. That's what it is. So, yeah. I initially thought it was Buzzwole. I mean, this is a little bit better for us, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of what the ladder is right now. It's just a bunch of Malamar decks. I mean, I've been running into these almost non-stop. Like, yes, we do have resistances in our Zoroarks, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's not the best. So what I'm going to do, obviously evolve into a Mind Jack, is that's going to be able to just one-shot something, which is Well, I mean, I had to have a choice band in order to one-shot something, which is great. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball for a trade Zoroark. Play that down. Choice band up. What do I want to choice band up? Let's choice band up the Mind Jack, as that's what I need in order to take a knockout, because I'll be able to do 190 and no energy. That's very unfortunate. So let's go ahead and Evosoda up a Zoroark. Let's trade, let's get rid of the Yveltal-GX, as I really don't think that's going to be doing a whole lot in this matchup. I do luckily get an energy, so I am able to attack the Mew. I would have liked a DCE. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go for that. See if I can get a Y-Cyclone off, which I can use to conserve energy. Well, get a Max Elixir. I think I'm just going to go ahead and reveal the Mew. First of all, let's play the energy onto the Yveltal. I mean, that's kind of what I just had to go off anyway. And luckily, I do hit the Max Elixir. That is very nice. Do I want to play the Field Blower just yet? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Gets rid of the Float Stone off of my opponent's Dawn Wings, and then I am just going to Evil Ball, knock out the Mew, take a prize. Maybe I can try to KO a Malamar later in the game to fix that odd prize. Mew should be able to take me a knockout on a Necrozma, and then a Zoroark should be able to take me a knockout on the Dawn Wings. So that means all I have to do... I don't know. He's going to be able to play an even prize game, which is not good for me. So I do just kind of have to... Yeah, he's getting that set up. I might... As long as I have an energy, I'll be able to one-shot this Necrozma back. Wish I had a Fighting Fury Belt, but I mean, like, that's honestly okay with me. Like, if I had the Fighting Fury Belt, I'd be able to live the hit from Necrozma. Can go for a GX tag. Well, I mean, I guess it didn't even matter, as my opponent does have the Field Blower. I did bait that out early, which is kind of nice, so that way when I do attack with my Choice Band, it has a much higher chance of going through. And so what my opponent's going to do, attach to his Necrozma. And, I mean, either way, because of the Invade, he's going to be able to knock out my Mew in return. So that's going to be something that I have to look out for. But let's go ahead and get the Mew, play the Mew down. Do I want to end my opponent? So I could Lele for an N, or I could just Cynthia. I think I want the N. I think I want to end him low, just kind of hope that my opponent doesn't get... Because, I mean, at this point, he's ahead in the prize trade in terms of the KOs. So I need to prevent my opponent from getting anything that he can use. And unfortunately, I don't get a Darkness Energy. That kind of sucks. So what I'm going to do is trade, get rid of the Rescue Stretchers. I really don't think I'm going to need... the Yveltal anymore, and then let's trade once again, get rid of the Ultra Ball. I want a Darkness Energy. I don't want to have to attach a DCE to my Mew in order to attack. But unfortunately I do, which is very, very less than ideal. Like, that's a bad situation. I did not want to have to attach to Mew. And then I could Mind Jack, or I could Righteous Beating. Black-Ray GX. Does that hit for... Does Black-Ray GX hit for weakness? I didn't think it does. No, it doesn't. Dang it. Otherwise I would have gone for that against this Necrozma. So I am just going to go for a Righteous Beating. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's just Mind Jack. Let's go ahead and go for style points a little bit. I think it does. Does it do a little more? Yeah, it does 20 damage more. So who's the real winner right here? And I get Max Elixir, which is not helpful at all. So my opponent is going to be able to immediately respond with an attack from Ultra Necrozma. And I just kind of have to... Yeah, he'll knock me out. And I have to pray that he doesn't have... I have to pray that the one copy of Malamar, he just doesn't draw into it. Like, that's what I have to bank off of. Because if he draws into the one copy of Malamar, then I will lose the game. He could even GX attack, actually. Does he hit this Max Elixir? Please don't. And he does. That's... I mean, that's kind of expected. Like, I'm not even going to say that that was lucky. That was just kind of... I mean, that's what you run the Max Elixir for. And then he does end me. So, all things considered, I'm somewhat okay with this N. Because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't necessarily want. I do get an N. But now I draw into the Darkness Energy. I really, really would have liked that last turn. Because now I'm going to lose a DCE. I've gone through... Gonna lose a DCE. So I just have to somehow play around that. And hopefully draw into one. Yeah, he's going to invade. And if I'm him, I use the GX attack so that I can't just immediately knock him out in response. Yep, he does go for the Moon's Eclipse GX. That's a good... That's the right play. Definitely the right play right there. Takes 2 prizes. Let's go into my Zoroark. And... how do I want to do this? So I get a Devoured Field. I'm going to play that down now. Let's trade, see if I can draw into a Guzma and DCE. Get a Cynthia and an N. So let's Choice Band up a Zoroark. Let's trade once again, get rid of the Cynthia, because I'm going to N if I don't draw into anything. Hopefully get... okay, I get a DCE, which I can use. Let's put it on this Mind Jack Zoroark. Is it something that can just come in and take a knockout? And then let's end my opponent down. I really just have to hope that my opponent doesn't draw into the Malamar. And then I'm going to end the turn right there as it's... okay, so I need my opponent... to not get... not Malamar, the Guzma plus Marshadow. If my opponent gets Guzma plus Marshadow, I lose. However, with over half his deck left, I should be okay. Because he'd have to get pretty lucky in order to get the Marshadow and the he has to get the Marshadow and the Guzma. Actually, all he needs is Marshadow right now. But either way, I'm just kind of hoping that I bought myself a turn, because I can put up this Zoroark, which will not allow him to take 2 prizes. By putting up this Zoroark, he can only take 1 prize off of it, so he needs to have the combination of Guzma and his Marshadow. I'm assuming he plays Marshadow. I saw the fighting. I have seen Sudowoodo as well. He is going to power up... what is he powering up? Probably going to power up the Lele, I would guess. Yeah, that's a good play, just to be able to send up something that is relatively hard to one-hit KO. And then he's going to Ultra Ball. What's he grabbing? Okay, so... hey, man, I end him into an Ultra Ball, into a Lele, so that's very unfortunate. Kind of like what happened with Orobomb, where he was able to... I end him low, but he was able to get the Ultra Ball into a Guzma, I think, to win the game. So my opponent is going to be able to grab a Sycamore. Unfortunately, I think if I was able to buy a turn, then I could have won the game. But I think at this point, my opponent will have access to all the resources he needs in order to be able to pull off... in order to be able to pull off the attack to win the game in the end. Mysterious Treasures, he's going to get a third Malamar. And yeah, at this point I'm going to be able to knock out the Dawnwings. I just have to pray that he does not have the Marshadow and Guzma in hand, because he has to have both of those in order to win. But if he has Marshadow and Guzma in hand, then I will lose the game. But I just kind of have to go off the fact that he doesn't have that. Because that's still relatively unlikely that he does have that. So let's go ahead and trade. Because he still has 1/3 of his deck left and 2 prizes. So I just have to hope that between the two of them, he doesn't have it. Let's trade for get rid of my Yveltals. It's really not going to be doing much. See if I can get an N, because I really need that N in order to be able to win the game. Let's trade, get rid of the Field Blower. It's not going to be doing a whole lot for me. I don't get it, but what I do get is Yveltal. I get an Yveltal that will allow me to play my Max Elixirs. So do I want to do that? Let's energy up the Zoroark. That way I can potentially have a backup attacker next turn. Let's play the Yveltal so that I can get double Max Elixir onto that thing. Let's go for 1, and there is the Guzma. So I need the N, not the Guzma. There is the N. I see the N in my deck, but unfortunately I used both my trades and did not get it, and I still don't get it, so... yep, crossing my fingers. I could have drawn into the N. Unfortunately, I did not. So I just have to really pray that he does not have that he does not have both the Marshadow and the Guzma in hand, because if he has both, then I just lose. But I'm just praying that the odds are in my favor in this case. It does promote the Tapu Lele, and of course he has the Marshadow, so if he has the Guzma, then he will just win the game. So I mean, that sucks. Good on my opponent for playing his hand, but I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, but that's the game we play. Like, sometimes, like, I was not able to draw into the end when I needed it, and my opponent had exactly what he needed. And yeah, there's the Guzma. I mean, he wouldn't have been playing that way if he didn't have the Marshadow in his hand. But I mean, like, that's how the game goes. Like, I did not draw what I needed to, and my opponent drew exactly what he needed to, and even though my deck was thinner and I had a better chance of drawing, I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. Like, it just does not go your way, and sometimes you go through only like 1/3 of your, or 2/3 of your deck, and you get everything you need. That's the game. My opponent played it very well, and I'm still very satisfied with the fact that I was able to take a deck that I really built with no intention of being super competitive. I mean, I built it just to try to show off Yveltal-GX and just try to have a little bit of fun with it. And I mean, I definitely did. I was able to take on 2 top-tier decks and actually do pretty well against them. So I'm very satisfied with the showing that this deck had. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.